helicopter carrying Raisi had experienced what it called a hard landing. Rescuers from the Iranian Red Crescent fought through dense fog, blizzards and mountainous terrain to reach the site of the crash in the East Azerbaijan province. On finding the wreckage, they had reported no sign of life. In the city of Mashhad, a city in Iran, people gather at the holy shrine of Imam Reza to mourn the death of President Ebrahim Raisi. Ebrahim Raisi's death challenges the country's senior leadership as Iran sits amid heightened regional and global tensions, centered on the war in Gaza. So, who was Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi? What were Raisi's policies like at home and abroad? And how the untimely death of Iran's president impacts the politics in Iran and West Asia. We explain. Ebrahim Raisi was born in the eastern city of Mashhad in 1960. As a religious scholar in Iran's theocratic government and a protege of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, Raisi climbed the judiciary ranks, serving as a prosecutor in several cities. In the recent past, Raisi had also been seen as a possible successor to Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the highest political and religious position in the Islamic Republic. 63-year-old Ebrahim Raisi, a hardline religious cleric, became the president of Iran in 2021. Raisi bagged 62% of the 28.9 million votes in the election. It was marked by the lowest turnout in the Islamic Republic's history. Millions chose to stay at home, and others voided ballots. And Human Rights Watch described the vote as a sham. As president, Raisi oversaw a strategy to expand his country's regional influence, backing militant proxies across West Asia, expediting the country's nuclear program and bringing Iran to the brink of war with Israel. But in the same period, Iran experienced some of its largest anti-government protests in decades, and a severe economic downturn driven by international sanctions and high unemployment.
I think, although it will be a tight competition, I think President Raisi has more blood on his hands than any other official of the Islamic Republic. He has spent most of his life in the judiciary. In the 1980s, which was the bloodiest decade of the Islamic Republic, where thousands of dissidents were executed, Raisi was in the judiciary. Most importantly and infamously, in 1988, he was part of a 3 to 4% death panel that sent more than 3,000 political prisoners, if not more, to their deaths.
Raisi's hardline position was evident in domestic politics. A year after his election in 2022, the mid-ranking cleric ordered tighter enforcement of Iran's hijab and chastity law, restricting women's dress and behavior. Within a few weeks, Mahsa Amini died in police custody at a young age of 22. Amini belonged to the Kurdish minority and was traveling to Tehran with her family when she was stopped by Iran's morality police for her non-compliance. Amini was arrested for allegedly not covering her hair properly, as mandated by Iranian law. Amini's family, activists, and observers claimed police severely beat her, though the government claimed she had a heart attack. Amini's death sparked a massive movement in Iran. Women burned their hijabs and cut their hair in resistance to the rigid rules. The following months of nationwide unrest were one of the gravest challenges to Iran's rulers since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. A theocratic hardliner, Raisi became responsible for crushing dissent and free speech in Iran, and enforcing the harsh hijab and chastity law to restrict women's attire. The law gave unlimited powers to the morality police in Iran. Raisi was the first and only Iranian president to be sanctioned by both the European Union and the United States due to his involvement in the suppression of Iranian citizens. Despite criticism at home, Raisi has managed to sail through the unprecedented isolation. He drew Iran closer to countries like Russia, China, the Central Asian countries, India, and even Africa. Let's take a look at how Raisi transformed Iran's foreign policy and how things may change after his death. Israel and the Hamas-led Palestinian militant groups are locked in a ferocious armed conflict in the Gaza Strip since October 7, 2023. Iran, that supports Hamas financially and militarily, praised the militant group's attack on Israel as a success, but denied any involvement. However, on 13th April this year, Iran launched over 300 missiles and drones into Iran's first ever direct attack on Israeli territory. Iran's attack was prompted by Israel's alleged action on April 1st. Israel killed several Revolutionary Guards on the Iranian embassy compound in Damascus, including high-level commanders, clearly crossing a line for Iran. Raisi was at the helm when Tehran launched its extraordinary attack on Israel in retaliation. The very fact that Iran directly targeted a powerful adversary backed by an even more powerful superpower, the United States, stunned the world. The Iranian attack posed a significant challenge to the Iron Dome of Israel. Since the start of the Gaza war, violence surged across the region, often involving Iran-backed Hamas allies. Israel has been engaged in near-daily clashes along its northern border with the powerful Tehran-backed Lebanese movement, Hezbollah. In 2016, Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei appointed Raisi, a former Iranian Attorney General, to run the Imam Reza Charity Foundation that manages a conglomerate of businesses and endowments in Iran. This appointment prompted analysts to speculate that Khamenei could be grooming Raisi as a possible candidate to be Iran's third ever supreme leader. A Shiite cleric who would have final say on all state matters while serving as the country's commander-in-chief. But Raisi's life was cut short. Despite the sudden vacuum it has caused at the top of Iran's executive branch, the strategic direction of its foreign and regional policies, determined by Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and influenced by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, is expected to remain intact.
What the Islamic Republic is going to do instead is to show that its processes and its institutions will continue to function, and it's going to try to show a commitment to those processes, take forward the elections that are meant to be held within a 2-month period. That will all be certainly hard to deliver while also generating public support. But I very much suspect that they're going to remain committed to that, and at the same time try to celebrate and commemorate Ebrahim Raisi's life as a martyr of the Islamic Republic, as a loyal leader of the Islamic Republic. So I expect they will try to make the most of this moment as well.
This week on Inside South Asia. Foreign tourists attacked in Afghanistan amid the Taliban versus Islamic State Khorasan war, a nation caught in the dark ages. Nepal PM Prachanda's unending game of musical chairs continued waves of instability in Nepal's politics. North India and Pakistan simmer under a fierce heatwave. Extended spells of hot weather in South Asia the new normal? And India makes a mark at the Cannes Film Festival. This and more on Inside South Asia.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at wion.com.
Ebrahim Raisi oversaw the forging of closer ties with Russia and China during his tenure. Iran stepped up cooperation with both China and Russia, especially in trade and defense. Russian President Vladimir Putin traveled to Tehran in July 2022. It was his first foreign trip since the invasion of Ukraine. Reports suggest Iran is supplying drones and other military hardware to Russia.